everybody? Today we are going to be reacting to Matt Walsh instead on my thoughts on Charlie Kirk's leaked text messages about Israel. So let's get it started, guys. I want to see what is in the mind of Matt Walsh on this case, okay? Let's go.
The side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side, well, they managed to alienate and push away Charlie Kirk. And if you're on that side, you should really, really stop and think about that. Okay, let's talk about this. The Daily Mail reports Charlie Kirk furiously criticized bullying Jewish donors and said he was considering leaving the pro-Israel cause before his death. It was confirmed today. The bombshell revelation comes after Candace Owen released a screenshot of Kirk fuming in a group chat that Jewish donors were pulling funding over his links to Tucker Carlson. Turning Point spokesman Andrew Colvett confirmed the authenticity of the screenshots on Tuesday during the latest episode of the Charlie Kirk Show. In text messages, Kirk privately complained that a Jewish donor had withdrawn a $2 million investment into the organization because he refused to disinvite Carlson from the upcoming America Fest event. He wrote, "Just lost another huge Jewish donor. $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this." And then he concludes, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Okay, so that's the story. So Charlie Kirk said in his text exchange that he was fed up with Jewish donors and that they live down to all the stereotypes, and that he has no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And I have to tell you that I saw these texts like everyone else did when Candace released them, and I thought, I didn't say anything because I wanted to see how it played out, but I thought there was like a 40 or 50% chance that they were fake, or at least partially fake. I didn't think that Candace faked them. I thought maybe someone else had faked it, given her something fake and lied to her. And the reason I thought that, it was really just because of that final line. Just that final line, the line about leaving the pro-Israel cause, like in those words exactly. It felt just kind of on the nose. It's just so definitive, like the kind of thing a person might make up. But it turns out that it was not fake. Andrew Colvett, who, by the way, is great, doing a heroic job, I think, helping to steer the ship after this tragedy, after this atrocity. But he's confirmed them. So that's that. And I think the takeaway here, well, there's two things I want to say. First of all, let me tell you what this doesn't prove. It does not prove that Charlie was in any way dishonest or not forthright, or anything like that. And Candace, of course, has not accused him of that or implied it at all, just to be clear. But I have seen people on social media trying to twist this stuff to smear him in that way. So that is something that you see. And it's not fair and it's not true. Charlie, in fact, expressed, first of all, he expressed a lot of these frustrations publicly. That's the first thing. And as a public person, he's also under no obligation to run out into the public in front of an audience, in front of a camera or a microphone, and just blab whatever thought or feeling he most recently had in his head. Right? He's not under any obligation to have a thought or feeling and say, I got to tell everybody right away. In fact, his obligation, especially in the position that he was in, as not just a public figure, not just a media personality, but also the head of an organization, a very powerful, large, important organization. His obligation is really close to the opposite of that. In his position, his responsibility was to be honest, of course, and he was honest. But also you have to be prudent, and you have to be measured, and you have to be thoughtful in what you say and when you say it and how you say it. And he was working through some really difficult things, and he wanted to sort all that out within himself personally. I'm assuming before he said it in front of an audience. So, and that's what you see here. So there's nothing that makes me feel any different about Charlie at all. He was, as I said the day after he was killed in my first show back, he was a great man. I've said many times since, he was a great man, and a virtuous and honest man, very, admirably honest, unusually honest, in particular in politics and in this business. And that still is the case. Hasn't changed at all. Secondly, Okay, so the pro-Israel side lost Charlie Kirk. That's what he said in his message, in his own words. Now, he may have been venting. He may have been expressing frustration. He obviously was doing that. He may not have flipped over to being actually actively anti-Israel. He didn't say that, but he did say that, hey, they lost me. And they lost him because of how he was being treated and what he saw behind closed doors. And he was obviously not alone in feeling that way. Because, listen, the pro-Israel side, as Charlie called it, has lost the majority of the American public. It doesn't. And he was obviously not alone in feeling that way. Because, listen, the pro-Israel side, as Charlie called it, has lost the majority of the American public. It doesn't have the left at all, which, who cares? That's fine. But it also doesn't have a huge chunk of the right. And it wasn't always that way. It doesn't have the younger generation, like at all. It doesn't have support globally. It's just failed to persuade the vast majority of people. That's the fact. That's the reality. And at some point, if you're on the pro-Israel side, you really need to be honest with yourself and engage in some actual honest self-reflection and self-analysis. You really do. Because you're losing the argument. I mean, you're just losing it. You are. And I've never seen any side of any argument lose this much support this quickly. I can't think of any other example of something like this. And if you're on that side, you need to have the courage and humility to ask yourself what you're doing wrong. Now, sure, when you are going out with a message and nobody is buying it, and even people who were buying it suddenly are not anymore. Now, you could say, oh, well, it's everybody but me. It's all them. Everyone is against me, and it's all their fault, and I'm not doing anything wrong. It's possible that's the case. In the whole history of the world, when people feel ganged up on, and I'm not doing anything wrong, and they're doing everything wrong, on occasion, that could be true. But most of the time in life, you got to look at common denominators. And most of the time in life, when you're going around and your message is just not resonating with anyone almost, you got to look at yourself. That's the case most of the time. But that doesn't seem to happen. I don't see a lot of self-reflection here. And there really should be, especially now. I mean, this should be the kind of thing. If you're on that side of the argument and you see these text messages, it's the kind of thing that should make you sit back and go, wow. I mean, even Charlie was feeling that way. But instead, what happens is that typically they'll do what the donors were doing to Charlie, apparently, scold and point fingers and throw the anti-Semitism charge around. And I mean, they'll do it to me because of what I'm saying right now, right? This is going to get clipped, and it's going to be, oh, see, he's woke right. He's anti-Semitic. He's, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. I will get rebuked even by some people who I would consider friends or at least friendly. So it's like you can just, it's like it's going to happen. It will, and they won't be able to help themselves, and they will do it. Even though everything I'm saying right now is just true. I'm giving you an analysis of the state of affairs, and it's not any kind of, you don't have to be a genius to figure this out. If you did, I wouldn't have figured it out because I'm not a genius. But you can look around and see, okay, clearly you're losing the argument. And if you're going to conduct any kind of honest inventory here, this is the first place you should start. And I'll tell you the first major mistake you've made is that you push out your allies or your potential allies if they don't toe the line 100%. 100% perfect, clean record of being pro-Israel in every way, in all cases, all the time, always. If they fail that test, you push them out, you label them woke right, you label them anti-Semitic. And that's what Charlie experienced. He was very pro-Israel, but he also was friends with Tucker and wanted to have a conversation with Tucker, which also makes sense. He was, that's the right thing, by the way. It's not just that Charlie was perfectly justified and had every right to talk to whoever he wants and to platform whoever he wants. That, of course, is true. But he didn't just have the right to do it. He was right to do it. Yeah, if you're going to have a big event like America Fest, huge event, great event, I'll be at it this year. Great event, I'll be at it this year. Tucker should be there. It would be absurd for him not to be there. But what Charlie experienced is that because of that, we're going to withdraw our money. We're going to take the funding away. And yet you have the right to do that. You have the right to take your money and do what you want with it. But this is the problem. Okay, this is why it doesn't work. It's not persuasive. People see that and they say, okay, well, you're just a bully. And you will not allow any conversation to happen at all. And I've encountered a version of this too many times. As everyone knows, everyone knows my position, and it hasn't changed. It's that I'm not pro or anti-Israel. I'm not pro or anti any foreign country. I'm very consistent about that. I don't care about any country but my own. That's just my opinion. That's my perspective. Might not be yours. You might feel that it's wrong. You might feel that it's too simplistic. You might feel however you want to feel about it. I don't really care. That's just my perspective. It always has been. Always has been. My entire adult life, I'm very consistent about this. I don't want foreign aid to any country, including Israel. And I always call out when I feel the U.S. is getting involved in something that it shouldn't get involved in. And if they're getting involved in something, from my perspective, for the sake of Israel, and I don't think they should, I'll say that. I was against the Iran intervention. So I'll call that out. I'll also call out the Islamic invasion of the U.S. I spent several days just over the past couple of weeks talking about that. I did multiple shows just about the situation in Dearborn. I've talked about many, many times. I've spent a lot of time on importing, Somalis into places like Minnesota. So I'll talk about that too. So I think I'm pretty damn consistent in my own principles when it comes to this stuff. And you don't have to share those principles, but in my own principles when it comes to this stuff. And you don't have to share those principles, but they're mine and I'm consistent about America first. I call out anything that I think is not America first. I also call out the Israel obsession on the other side, the anti-Israel side, the tendency to bring everything back to Israel all the time, even if it doesn't have anything to do with it. There's a tendency on that side to be Israel first from the other direction. I've made that point countless times on this show, on X, on every platform. Just being consistent, which means that if you're pro-Israel, you may not agree with some of my takes, but there's no reason why I should be your enemy, because you'll also agree with a lot of my other takes. And yet I've been labeled woke right, anti-Semitic. I just saw this today. I don't even know who it was, just a tweet that popped up. One of many. I see them all the time, but someone was, I was just catching some conversation. I wasn't even about me, but I was catching a stray. Someone said, Matt Walsh is constantly engaging in anti-Semitic tropes. And I see this all the time. It's like, what? What are you even talking about? But this is what they're talking about. Is just not towing the line 100%. And I don't toe any line. I mean, the only line I toe is my own line. I have my own line, I have my own line, the things that I care about, and that's what I toe. I don't toe any other lines. And like I said, that's going to happen in reaction to what I'm saying right now. And that's your problem. This all or nothing strategy. It's not working. It is failing Utterly and totally. It just is. So that was my reaction to this news. Just being honest with you. I actually am genuinely surprised that Charlie had been pushed away from that side. And I know everybody now wants to say about Charlie, oh, see, I knew all along. I knew. Well, I didn't know. And I don't know about this at all. I'm sincerely surprised. And that's my honest feeling. And to me, the takeaway here is that the side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side, well, they managed to alienate and push away Charlie Kirk. And if the side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side, and that's my honest feeling. And to me, the takeaway here is that the side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side, well, they managed to alienate and push away Charlie Kirk. And if you're on that side, you should really, really stop and think about that. You just should. Rather than screaming at me for telling you to stop and think about it, you should actually stop and think about it. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the...
So honestly, I think Matt Walsh was talking about those people that are on the side of Charlie pro-Israel perspective. And then Matt Walsh was like asking them to think about it. And instead of like yelling at him, like, please stop, but instead just think about it, you know? It's crazy, man. The whole thing is crazy right now, I'm telling you. Let me go on the comment section. I want to see, why is it shocking that the man who built an empire and legacy out of having conversations was upset that people tried to tell him he wasn't allowed to have a conversation about what he felt was simple. It is that simple. Out of who built an empire and legacy out of having conversations was upset that people tried to tell him he wasn't allowed to have a conversation about what he felt was important. It's totally like a manipulation, you know. It's crazy, man. How about Monopoly? No, it's just manipulation. Just an example. If Israel was actually controlling the direction of Charlie's speech and his organization TPUSA direction, then it should be wrong, because you donate the money and you ask the people like to actually divert from their original ideology, and then instead spreading their words, spreading the manipulators' word. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, guys, I want to know your opinion on this. If you have any opinion, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this thing, and I would like to react to more videos like this. And please, if you have any idea what video should I react to, let me down in the comment section and I'll be reacting to it. God bless you.